Hello, welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube. Myself, Mark Carlaw, and Riley Finch. Riley, mate, we've got a bit of a conundrum at West Ham at the moment in terms of our midfield situation. So, obviously, Declan Rice occupies the sort of defensive midfield role. And then there's that question mark over the number 8 position with Tomas Souček, who's been iffy, to say the least, over the best part of a year. And then you've then got Flynn Downes, who's really knocking on the door now. Would you say that Souček's position is at serious risk now with Downes' form?
I would say that Flynn Downes' position is very secured, mate. Actually, I don't see how it's Souček's position anymore. I think he's outgrown the number 8 role at this point. I mean, you know, we all love the guy. You know, we've made so many videos on Tomas Souček and his poor form, and it's easy to see that he's not played very well. I think maybe even he would admit he's not played very well. He's such a bloody likable guy, though, isn't he? And he's such a character, and he honestly does bleed for the badge, and he's so hard working. Like, it's really hard to sit there. I mean, if you had Tomas Souček's face in front of you right now, his little smiling face, you would not be able to talk about a video. You would not be able to do it.
No, I'd struggle. And also, he's slightly bigger than me as well. But yeah, no, I agree.
Just slightly, just a couple of feet. But no, I mean, honestly, I think, having that in mind, we love the guy. But Flynn Downes is just on another level at the moment, and he's only had 2 opportunities to show it, and on those 2 opportunities, he's smashed it. He's not only been the best player in his position, but he's been the best player on the pitch. 2 man of the match performances.
Absolutely.
And Anderlecht are not a bad side either. And yes, maybe you question whether he could do it in the Premier League, but Souček hasn't been doing it in the Premier League for over a year. I mean, and competition is very healthy, but I don't see. I think I'd put Fornals ahead of Souček right now. I'd put Downes ahead of Souček, definitely. I just think Souček needs a little bit of a rest. He needs to sort of take a little holiday and just kind of think about, where he is, what he's doing in the team right now. And I think it'd be very good for him.
It's tricky one with Souček, because I know what you're saying, and I agree. The form hasn't been great, but the only thing you could probably argue in his defence is that really the team hasn't been that great. I mean, we haven't been really that good, even from last season. When you cast your mind back, obviously, to the Europa League run, which was obviously fantastic, it's almost like we got quite consumed in that, and you could see our energy levels were just getting battered on in terms of domestically. Hence why our form in the league sort of drifted. So I do sometimes stand back and think, we kind of just blaming one guy, when really it was probably collective. And it's very hard to be a number 8 and the team's playing badly, and then,
Yeah, but it's the simple stuff he's getting wrong, mate. It's the simple passes, it's the mentality, it's the, I do get what you're saying, 100%. But I think if you're misplacing in the 85th minute of a game a short pass back to your defender with no pressure on you, I mean, what defense is there for that? You can argue that team's playing poorly, team play as bad as you like, but if you're getting that stuff wrong, I mean, if you were playing in academy level and someone saw that, you'd be fucking booted out the door. So it's hard to defend it.
No, you are right, and that is correct. I mean, that's what I was thinking. I think that's the frustration. That's been my main frustration with Souček, really. Nothing else. I admire his work rate. He does win a lot in balls in the air. He does work very, very hard.
And he loves the club. You can't question that.
Not at all. But the issue we have with him is just his distribution. For me, it's just on the ball. He can be sometimes pretty poor, and especially for his kind of position and his role in the team. You need to be able to, to distribute the ball well. You need to, see the pitch and want to get the ball moving. Whereas if you really cast your mind back to Souček's time at the club, really, I can't remember any time really he's ever played that sort of, what a lovely ball. He's seen something there. He rarely ever does that. Don't get me wrong. He's very good at ghosting into the box, coming in late and scoring goals. He's fantastic at that. So he has got other attributes. But I suppose if we just stand back from the situation and forget who he is for a minute, and then look at Flynn Downes and him, that's comparison, is it? Who offers more? And I just think that's where we are at. Like, Moyes needs to be honest here and say, look, Downes is proving to be a very, very good midfielder. He works very hard like Souček does. He gets around the pitch. He's not scared to get stuck in with a challenge. He's if anything, he actually seems to really enjoy it. He likes a bit of a ruck, which we love at West Ham, and the fact he's a West Ham fan as well just makes that even better. Do you know what I mean? The fact that he's been a boyhood fan of the club, so it's it's a tricky one really. But I would say that I think you're right, mate. I actually do think now it's becoming Downes' position. I think he's doing enough to show that, and it might be. And I always say I think competition is healthy, and I don't think it'd be a bad thing for Souček to have a bit of a break and maybe just do the cup run games for a little while. Maybe he'll need that. It gives him a bit of a rest because he has been playing a lot of football for us for a long time. But yeah, looking forward to it. I'm really interested to see what how this pans out for him. I mean, it's interesting. It's really interesting. I mean, do you think then? If you're in David Moyes' shoes, then are you saying then definitely then he's your number one?
Easily. There's no. There could be no doubt. There could be no doubt. I mean, personally, if I was David Moyes, I'd be playing a sort of midfield three. I'd be going for Rice, Downes, and Paquetá. I think he played. Paquetá's not. He's a little bit of a luxury player, but he's also not. He gets stuck in. He's perfect for that number 8 role. You have sort of Flynn Downes in the. I'd actually have him in the holding position. Sort of picking up the passes, and then I'd have Rice as kind of like a number 6, a sort of, just sort of hanging on the edge of the box. He's not going to be arriving into the box with any late runs as Paquetá would do, but he's going to be sort of just patrolling the edge of the area. If you need a switch ball to the right back or the left back or the winger, I think Rice is so good at that. But it's not necessarily even the 8 position. I just think Downes' position in the midfield. I mean, you'd argue midfield is probably the weakest part of our team, wouldn't you? Which is crazy to say considering that we've got Declan Rice, but with Flynn Downes in there, I honestly think that is the position that he should be taking in that team. I think we can have 2 midfielders, the 2 top midfielders at this club. Maybe not on talent, because I think would you have Souček when he first came to the club? Would you have that Souček over Downes right now?
Yeah, I mean, I actually felt that when Souček joined the club and we had that period, that link-up play with Rice, I actually thought that Rice and Souček were arguably the best midfielders in the country, really, in terms of a pairing. I thought they really worked well together. I think what worked quite well at the time, though, is that fact that Rice was quite happy to sit back and it allowed Souček to do a bit more roaming forward. Obviously, times have changed now. Rice has now become a more advanced midfielder, and we're starting to see these abilities going forward. And I think Moyes obviously is encouraging him to take the ball forward. And I think that's always been the problem then. That's kind of that now where Souček's now got to be more of a holding player. I feel like you can clearly see it doesn't really suit him very well. And I actually think that Declan Rice doesn't have confidence then. I think it's almost like he's nervous then to go forward because he's feeling like if I lose possession, I really can't trust this guy behind me to do a good job and to do what's needed. And I think that's been a problem for a while. But you're right. I think the other thing you raised quite interestingly, mate, was about Paquetá, because I think the issue we've had with Paquetá so far is it's clear what Moyes is trying to do with him. He wants him to operate as a number 10. Which I'm all for, to be honest. I am actually all for that. Although I know he does play a bit more of a deeper role for Brazil, and I think he did the same for Lyon. And there has been that sort of argument saying, well, why don't you put Paquetá back? Because Paquetá back into midfield because he will then get more of the ball and make things happen. But if you've then got Downes in there, who's clearly very good at distributing the ball and quite clearly very good at going forward as well as on himself. So you kind of think to yourself, maybe it worked well having Downes behind Paquetá because he will get him on the ball more. Because that's really the problem. We need to get the ball to Paquetá's feet and get him on it. Because at the moment, that's where I think he struggled. He hasn't really had enough of the possession. That's all the issue is. So that could be another reason why a change is needed. Because let's be honest, that's Souček's worst quality, his distribution of the ball. He just doesn't have that eye. He doesn't have that vision to go, right, I want to make something happen. He's just more of a utility kind of player, isn't he? He does the basics. I can just do that. I can lay it off, down here. Even, and let's be honest, even when he has to do the basic passes, he usually cocks that up at times. So, I'm actually in agreement that I think that this is more now becoming Downes' role at the club.
I mean, when we played a 4-3-3 against sort of Sevilla and in the Europa at times, we sort of had we had Rice, Souček, and then we had Lanzini almost playing as he sort of played as a really deep line sort of centre forward in a way. He dropped back into midfield very, very far, or maybe like a deep line 10. And then he sort of came into advanced positions. I think you need to play Paquetá in that role, give him a free roam. If he wants to come back, he comes back. If he wants to drift, I mean, he assisted Scamacca in a number 10 sort of role. So you can see where, that is going to come into play. But, he also picked the ball from deep quite a lot in the game against Anderlecht. So I think if you give him a free roaming sort of position, you don't have to worry about the defence. If you've got Downes and Rice behind you, that they are going to give you all the freedom in the world to roam as you'd want to. I mean, it's the same situation with Paul Pogba at United. When he was asked to sort of play the 8 position, he wasn't very good at tracking back. but when he played for France, he was in this free roaming position where he could just do whatever he wanted, and he was scoring goals for fun, and he was being a playmaker for fun. So, you know, I think you need to give Paquetá all the freedom in the world. You know, if he wants to sit behind the striker for a little bit, he does that. If he wants to get down and dirty and pick up the ball deep and then ping some balls over, he could do that. But I think Downes and Rice gives him that freedom to do basically whatever he wants. You know, he's got a footballing brain. He knows what he needs to do. And I think as well as that, that will sort of give us a bit of a surprise as well. You know where Souček's coming from. You know he's going to arrive late. You know you want to get the ball into the box to him to head the ball into the back of the net. With Paquetá, it's uncharted waters. You don't know what he's going to do. So I think the midfield
we're already seeing that from Paquetá, aren't we? That he is that he's that magician. He's just got something really special about him, and you just can't predict what he's going to do. And I think you're right. Like we did with Payet, you kind of have to just let them do their own thing a little bit, and let him play as he wants to. I think you're right, and that's a good point as well in terms of that having that comfort, then knowing that you've got Downes and Rice behind you. It enables you to a bit more freedom to play. So it's interesting. It is very interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how Moyes deals with this, because we know he's notoriously loyal to players. We've seen it with Fabianski for a long time. Don't get me wrong, and rightly so. Fabianski's been brilliant for us, but there's always that argument over now Areola. Is he stepping ahead of Fabianski, which we will discuss at another time. But obviously, this is one of those conundrums. This is a decision he needs to make, and really, he needs to take emotions out of it. You know, you need to take loyalty out of it. You just got to be ruthless and say, look, I want to play my best team. And let's be honest here. The best pairing we've got at this football club at the moment, if you're going to look at a position, is Declan Rice and Flynn Downes. That they're the better team players. Downes is proving to be a very, very good player. So I actually am in agreement with you, mate. I think that, and it's a shame. I do feel for Tomas, but that is just life, isn't it? At the end of the day, he has been a bit off for quite some time, and you know, this is football. It's a brutal world. You have to accept it. And,
this is the thing. You're saying that David Moyes needs to remove his loyalties for Souček. You know, he's hanging out with this guy every single day. He knows him way better than me and you do. You know, and even we're a little bit begrudging to sort of say, oh, well, you know, Souček should be dropped to the bench. Sort of. So, you know, you can understand it a little bit, but mate, Iniesta, Rice, baby, that is the partnership that we want to see in the midfield for the massive bastard West Ham.
It is, definitely. I like it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.